Um, I installed TikTok on my phone, which seems like a very out of character move for me, right? I'm the guy that's always going on about how bad social media is, that has slowed down posting on this YouTube channel significantly because I write my thoughts on a blog now, and so on. Um, you wouldn't expect me to install TikTok, but I'll give you a quick rundown. I don't have any social media on my phone for obvious reasons, and I've talked about this before, but sometimes a human being needs to go take a shit, you know? Sometimes I need to go to the toilet, and when you're sitting on the toilet, you kind of want something to do. Uh, I've tried reading manga, but the problem is I'm not on the toilet for very long. I don't have enough time to like finish a chapter, so I get like a few pages in to whatever I'm reading, and then I have to. It's just kind of annoying. It just doesn't work with the flow, right? Manga's good for being on public transport. Manga's good for going somewhere, doing something that'll take 20 minutes to an hour, you know, but doesn't really work for being on the loo. So what I found myself doing was opening the YouTube app because it's the only thing I have on my phone really. Um, I'm watching YouTube videos, but the YouTube app shows you a bunch of ads, and yes, I do know I they don't like it when you talk about it on this platform, so um I will not expand, but I do also have other front ends, let's say, on my phone. But anyway, basically, I ended up being like, let's check out this YouTube Shorts thing. Let's see what's going on there because there's less ads. You can just scroll past the ads. It's the ads aren't as intrusive. And at first, I was sort of doing it ironically or just to sort of, I don't know, because I was bored, right? But after a while, I actually did end up finding a few YouTube Shorts channels that I wouldn't say I love them, but I kind of like them. Uh, my two favorite ones are Camman18, who makes Minecraft videos. They're pretty brain rot, they're pretty targeted at young kids, but they're honestly pretty good. They're often informative and interesting. And impressively, he's posted a video, I think, every single day for the past like 3 or 4 years. Like, it's actually pretty insane. So I like those videos. I do genuinely look forward to a new Camman18 video. Um, and the other one is a channel called Japan Eat, he's a guy. He's in Japan. He eats food. He goes out to restaurants and eats food, but he's just an actually good writer. Like he just throws in little funny quips and references, and he he's just funny. He's a good writer. He has a good way of talking about food. He somehow manages to keep it interesting, even though he's just talking about the same like five Japanese foods. It's either ramen or it's whatever the fuck, right? But yeah, that guy's good. So anyway, I was doing that for a while. Just I would whenever I needed to go to the toilet or whatever, I would scroll YouTube Shorts for like 5-10 minutes, right? F- Arrest me, put me in handcuffs, and lock me up right now, okay? And there were some times, I won't deny it, where especially if I was very depressed or sick, where I would end up scrolling for a bit longer than 5 to 10 minutes. And most of the time, I was like, "Well, that was dumb." Um, it is a sort of thing where you can get sucked down a rabbit hole. But my algorithm is mostly those two guys, Kaman18, Japan Eats, and then a bunch of like etymology and anthropology and history stuff, which I think, at least I'm learning something. Uh, the linguistics, there's like three different linguistics people. There's like history people, and there's some anthropology people, some art history. There's a really good art history channel that there's actually a couple. Um, Generally like informative, and it makes me feel a little less guilty about it. It's still edutainment, whatever, but it's whatever. You can make your own decisions about how much you want to morally judge me over this. But anyway, after a while, the thing about YouTube Shorts is not many people use it, right? Like, there's not that many people who put a lot of effort into making YouTube Shorts because it kind of sucks, and everyone kind of knows that it sucks. So, about a week ago, I thought to myself, well, if I'm already doing this, let me just try out TikTok. Like, let me just replace YouTube Shorts with TikTok when I'm taking a shit or whatever, and just see what happens. Because I've run out of new people to find on. There's no one new making YouTube Shorts, right? It's the same 5 people, and I like them, but they all also put their stuff on TikTok, except for Camman, who's a Camman YouTube Shorts exclusive. But all the other ones also upload to TikTok. So I'm like, if I, maybe it's better. Maybe there's a bunch of new people over there that I can find. Because honestly, I was surprised that there was a number of these sort of high quality edutainment channels. And I thought, well, if TikTok's like this but better with longer videos and less intrusive ads, which it is, that might be fine. And a lot of people have issues with TikTok and related to privacy, because it's a Chinese company, I guess. Me personally, I don't see how there's much of a difference there. I think whether it's a Chinese company or an American company that's harvesting my data, it doesn't really make a difference to me. They're both violating my privacy equally, and there's nothing I can do about it. So whatever. So I installed TikTok about a week ago, and it was a really interesting experience. But see, when I first opened the app, presumably, the only information it knew about me was my time zone from my phone's clock. And so it was showing me a bunch of, UK related stuff. It would just show me anything UK related. Um, and it was really interesting to try and watch the algorithm figure out in real time, who I was. It was actually really, like, a really fucking fascinating experience. I don't remember it that well because they're very forgettable. But what I do remember is I think at one point, like a Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson or one of these, right wing talking heads showed up. Piers Morgan, it might have been Piers Morgan. And I think I scrolled past like a little too fast because it must have figured out at some point that, like, it was like after that, it started showing me these lefty videos. And man, I gotta tell you, it's not surprising. This is not a surprising sentence, but the lefty content on TikTok is really, really bad. It is extremely bad. I don't know what, like, it makes me, I'm like, I won't, this is not going to get political. I just want to point out that the videos are bad. Like, like, on a theoretical level, like, in terms of being rigorous, they are very bad, obviously, but they're also just bad on a content level. Like, they're not entertaining or well put together. Um, I don't know what you would expect. I'm not going to TikTok to watch that stuff. I don't want to watch political stuff on my phone. I will read a book if I want to know about that. Um, but it's really bad, and it made me think a lot about how, like, how I think a lot of people, like, probably this is like their major exposure to this sort of stuff is gonna be like TikTok and Twitter and whatever the fuck, and YouTube video essays, and man, it's not good. And I know people like this. I know people who, and if you're watching this, the few people, you know who I'm talking about. I might even be talking about you. There are some people who refuse to read books and yet have really strong political opinions, and consider themselves to be like ardent lefties, and I'm like, bro, you're just making shit up. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, sorry. Let's not get political. The point I was trying to make here is that whole thing was kind of, it kind of weirded me out. It kind of it's the whole shittiness of it, I guess. It's like it's a little hard to put into words. I don't want to seem like I'm so above it all or I'm better than these people, but I am. It wasn't easy to read Capital. I should be proud of myself for doing that, okay? That was a fucking pain in the ass. That book is boring as shit. Uh, you know what I'm saying, right? This shit, I'm trying to read this shit. This shit don't make no fucking sense. And these motherfuckers go on TikTok. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, basically. Is like, these guys are getting just a garbage education. And it's just because if it was anything else, I would have the same reaction. It's just that this happens to be an area in which I'm interested in, an area in which I am interested. Um, and so I can tell how bad it is. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was a fucking physicist and I was seeing physics content and it was also on TikTok, I would probably also be saying this is shockingly bad, and a bunch of people are gonna end up with bad information and like misguided whatever the hell. So like I'm trying to be clear. Like I'm not necessarily being overtly political here. I'm just saying like the videos are bad because it's TikTok. Okay, um, man, I ranted about that for way too fucking long. So eventually, I kept going past all of that because I'm not interested. And it keeps showing me stuff and whatever. After a few days, the algorithm sort of seems to figure out who I am, and it's showing me stuff that I'm more interested in. And then what happened is after the lefty arc, after it stopped showing me like left populist videos, what it started doing was just showing me a bunch of YouTubers I already watch. For example, Tom Scott's Lateral podcast. Like he just uploads full, like multi-minute long. I say multi. That's the American multi-minute long like episodes or segments from episodes of Lateral, which is Tom Scott's podcast, and then just entire episodes of Map Men, which is great, and like and Unfinished London Jay Foreman videos. I'm very happy. I rewatched all of them. I watched all of them. I rewatched like most of Map Men and a bunch of Unfinished London. Like I rewatched a bunch of Jay Foreman videos in like vertical format on TikTok, and I had a great time. That guy's fucking great. Love that guy. Also, did you know his brother is Beardy Man? That's cool. Um, love that guy too. Uh, so there was a few more. I don't remember all of it, but there was just people I already watch on YouTube who were just re-uploading their videos on TikTok in vertical format. That I was like, huh, that's interesting that you're doing that. I had no idea. Um, And I'm doing this for a few days, just scrolling for a few minutes at a time. Maybe 10 minutes max at a time on TikTok, and it is what it is. And then today, so I've been sick the past few days, right? Pretty. Today is not so bad. I'm on the tail end of it. But the past 3 days, it was pretty bad. It was a pretty bad cold. Um, and so my brain's not really working. Otherwise, I would be doing something better with my time. But today, I went to the toilet. I started scrolling TikTok. And I came out of the toilet, and this is the big mistake. I just sort of sort of didn't close the app. And then the next thing I know, I think like 3 hours had passed. And I know this is like an I am not immune to propaganda moment. Like at some point between yesterday and today, whatever TikTok brainworms exist, whatever fucking magical algorithmic source they have, figured me out too well. And it figured out the slop that I would just continuously watch. And what's bizarre is, going back to it, I don't want to continuously watch it. But in that specific moment, it figured out what I would scroll for like 3 hours. And I don't remember anything that happened. I didn't notice the time was passing. I only noticed because I got hungry. And I was like, but I just ate. But I hadn't just eaten. I had been sitting on my phone scrolling TikTok the entire time. And that was honestly, it was a very scary experience. Realizing that that much time had just passed and absolutely nothing of value. Like it just vanished into thin air. the only thing I can compare it to is drugs. Like it's literally the only experience I've ever had that I can compare those 3 hours of scrolling TikTok to are the times when I've done fairly hard drugs, um, like you know, ketamine and opiates. Like that's the only thing I can compare it to, where it's just sort of like you're. I don't even know. Like you just cease to exist for a time period. That's what it's most like. You just sort of you're you're not really conscious for some time period, but you're not really unconscious either. TikTok is drugs, and not in a good way. In a bad way. TikTok is the bad part of drugs, the asocial, antisocial, addictive part of drugs. You know, it's the bad. TikTok is the bad drugs. So I have uninstalled TikTok. After that, I was like, well, that's not good. I don't want that to happen again, and I have uninstalled the TikTok application from my phone. Because that was bad. But that was shocking to me. I thought that could never be me. I've heard stories about people. Of course, we've all have, right? TikTok's been around for a long time now. We've all heard stories about people who just scroll for hours, and I've heard it, and I've always thought like that. That's insane that you could do that. I never thought it would happen to me. It's actually bizarre. It's fucking crazy. I don't know what it was. I didn't intend to do it, but I didn't notice that I didn't notice myself doing it. Does that make sense? Like it was literally like being semi-conscious. I wasn't really I wasn't really present. I wasn't really there. I wasn't I was it was a really bizarre experience. Honestly, I don't regret it because it was kind of looking back on it, it's kind of interesting that that happened to me, but I don't want to do it again. So that's gone. No more TikTok. Um, but man, isn't that crazy that they've just developed drugs on your phone now? That's a thing. I didn't think that was real. I thought these people were just idiots who were just like, you know. Now, yes, would I have? I'm still sick. Would I have done that if I was fully mentally operational? I don't know, but I feel like probably, and that's the weird thing. It's I don't know, man. And it was slop. I don't remember a single thing that I watched. There was probably some cute animal videos. A lot of it was Japan focused. A lot of it was something about Japan was going on. Something Japanese was going on. Some guy in Shibuya interviewing people. I think that happened at one point. I don't know. I don't fucking remember it. That's weird, right? I should. If I'd watched YouTube for 3 hours, I would be like, oh yeah, I watched this video and this video and this. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching a video essay right now. I'm not going to tell you which video essay it is because I don't want you to judge me. It's not a very good video essay. Actually, it's okay, but I'm not going to tell you which one. But I know I've watched this video essay, and before that, I watched a different video essay from the same channel, and before that, I watched a different video essay from a different channel, and before that, I was watching a video about Smash. I was watching a video about the guy who played Smash 64. I forget what his name is. Um, it was called something like the most interesting player in Smash or something like that. It was a good video. Like I can remember that. I remember that. I enjoyed those videos. They were good. They were entertaining videos. They were interesting. They expressed opinions, and I had opinions about them, and they had some. I don't know, man. Like they were things that happened in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like they were events that took place. The TikTok black hole was a non-event, which is a very strange thing. I'm not used to non-events outside of um, you know, fairly intense recreational drug experiences, which I also don't intend to recreate, right? Like those were not experiences that I actively seek out. Those are experiences I had many years ago, um, you know, like maybe 3 times ever, and have no intention to ever replicate. Like that's not something I enjoy. I don't like non-events. I don't want to be in a non-event space. That's not something I seek out. Um, Very strange. I'm fascinated by it, kind of like that this technology to put drugs on your phone. Like how did that's crazy to me. It's not just stupid videos of people dancing. It's phone drugs. They got phone drugs now. They got cyber drugs. It's kind of fucking cyberpunk, right? That's obviously ruined now. Thanks, Elon. Thanks, CD Projekt Red. I was calling this a long time ago, by the way. If you watch some of my older videos, but that's a tangent. So that's odd, right? That was a strange event. But I gotta say, before the black hole non-event experience, I gotta say there was some good stuff on TikTok. There was some genuinely educational videos about stuff I would otherwise not have sought out on my own. Like that's the advantage of the purely algorithmic delivery system, discovery system. It does show you stuff that you don't know that you want, right? And there was a few things where I was like, huh, this is actually really interesting, and I would never have gone out of my way to look this stuff up, you know? Um that was cool. That was cool. And there was stuff, there was if you want to have if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, there's no way a YouTube Shorts or a TikTok video could have any artistic merit. What the fuck are you talking about? And you like my videos, I would say go on YouTube or go on TikTok and look up this guy. I believe his name is Flesh Simulator. Okay? Yes. Go and look up this guy called Flesh Simulator and just watch a couple of his shorts or a couple of his TikToks. Okay? Just check him out. If you like my stuff, he's like my like if I put effort into videos. He's kind of like if I put effort into this videos. He's even got the receding hairline that I have conveniently cut out of frame. Just like me. Although mine's worse. So I win. I win on that one. Um, but yeah, no, check out his videos. They're great. If and pretty, I think you will be interested to learn that there are people doing creative things on these places, which was a shock to me when I found this guy. Um, so yeah, that's been my TikTok arc. It went from the first couple days of like it was interesting seeing it, tried to figure out who the fuck I am, to then the next couple days where it was quite nice. It was like I'm finding different people that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. I'm watching Tom Scott videos in vertical. This is chill. And then all the way into you're doing heroin now. That not an arc I expected to go through. Let's take some light away from the situation. Okay, now we can talk for real. Now we can really know what's going on. Now we can truly be ourselves. So, today I watched two rather long video essays. In fact, I watched more than two video essays today, but I'm only going to talk about two of them. And the reason that I watched two rather long video essays today is because um, I'm kind of in a weird position in my time span, my time field, my lifespan. What's going on with me? You know, um, I'm coming off the tail end of being too sick to really do anything other than play Team Fortress 2. Um, and then before that, I was coming off the end of just having finished Enos, the album, a sizable artistic project. Um, And then before that, I was working on my blog and stuff like that, whatever. So I've sort of been aimlessly wandering like a leaf in the stream of creation, um, not really doing much. And it's getting to me at this point. Like, I need a new project. I need to do something. I need a artistic project or something. I need something. I need something, and it'll probably be a visual novel. Most likely, it will probably be to read Kazo Keikaku or Dakapo 2, or something like that. But right now, I'm just playing a lot of Team Fortress 2. Uh, and also, I'm playing very aimless Team Fortress 2. You know, before I was sort of grinding my strangers. Right now, I'm not really doing that. I'm playing a lot of Spy. I don't even like playing Spy. I don't know why I'm playing Spy. This is not a Team Fortress 2 video. But I'm also playing Cookie Clicker. I've been playing Cookie Clicker. I'm like currently the furthest I've ever gone in Cookie Clicker. By quite a while, I've been like kind of grinding Cookie Clicker. And I'm getting kind of bored of that as well. Uh, so yeah, I'm sort of between shit right now. But because I've been sort of too sick to do anything, and just playing a lot of Team Fortress 2 and Cookie Clicker, I've just needed like shit to put on in the background. So what I did was um, I was rewatching those iCarly Victoria Sam and Cat videos by that one Garfield YouTuber. You know the ones I'm talking about? The absurdly long ones. Um, what's that guy's name? I don't remember the guy's name. You guys know the videos I'm talking about? Those ones. Um, and I say rewatching. Yes, I have watched them before. I am rewatching the entire series. I am like uh I don't know how many in I am, okay? But I'm too many hours in. And I like them. Listen, I like those videos. But I also got kind of bored of them because I don't have any nostalgia for those series because I never watched them as a kid. They weren't particularly big over here. I get the feeling that those like children's sitcoms, the Nickelodeon and Disney Channel sitcoms, were a big deal in America, but I don't remember ever hearing anyone talk about them when I was a kid. I don't even know if they aired over here. Um, so I have like no nostalgia for that whatsoever. Um, Quentin Reviews, that's the guy that made it. Quentin Reviews, he'll talk about them like I remember with the iCarly video, where he's at the beginning, he's sort of like, this is the good part of iCarly, and then he's like, this is the bad part of iCarly, but I can't tell the fucking difference. And then when it gets to the Sam and Cat stuff, which is supposedly really bad, I also can't tell the difference. It all seems equally unfunny to me. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. But today I watched the video Yoko and the Beatles by Lindsay Ellis, which I've been meaning to watch for just since it came out and just haven't got around to it. And then I've watched this video, which I actually haven't quite finished yet, but I'm like 10 minutes away from the ending. It's called This Video Isn't Just About Taylor Swift, full stop. It's About You by Alexander Avila. Um, and it's got me thinking about pop culture. This is all pop culture related, right? The and what I like about the Quentin Reviews one compared to this Taylor Swift video and that Yoko Ono video, which by the way, I want to put it out there, okay? I thought that the Lindsay Ellis video was good. All of her videos are good, and this Taylor Swift video I'm gonna talk about more. I have some thoughts and opinions, and that's what that's what this is about. Um, and the Quentin Reviews videos are kind of slop, but they're also like so extensive that it kind of becomes avant-garde. You know what I mean? They're slop, yeah. Are they plot summaries? Yes, they are plot summaries of episodes of Nickelodeon sitcoms. That is true. That is what a significant amount of it is. Are there a lot of really unfunny jokes? Yes, there are those. um, but here's the thing, right? Is that that feels appropriate, right? Because iCarly and Victorious and Sam and Cat, which is shows I'd heard of iCarly. I didn't know that Victorious or Sam and Cat existed before watching those videos. Um, but those are slop. Those are garbage slop, and so it feels appropriate to make garbage slop videos about them, where everyone involved knows what's going on. Quentin knows what's going on. He knows these shows are garbage slop. He knows he's making garbage slop. He talks about it. Everyone knows what's going on. There's no pretenses. Whereas with, and I kind of, now listen, actually, I'm just going to skip over that. I'm going to skip over the Lindsay Ellis video. I don't have that much to say about it. I think it's a good video. Um, but let's talk about this Taylor Swift video. This is what I'm mostly interested in. So, as this Taylor Swift video goes on, it becomes increasingly clear that this Alexander Avila individual likes Taylor Swift songs, which is very strange to me. I've never met someone, as far as I'm aware, who likes Taylor Swift songs. Like, the people who like popular top 40 music have always been sort of a mystery to me. They've always been these sort of nebulous masses that exist elsewhere, but I've never been able to actually interact with any of them or talk to any of them or meet any of them, you know? Like, they must exist because I see, you know, their songs are popular, but they're not good. Like, you listen to the music that's at the top of the charts and it's all really bad, right? Like, you can just do that and it's like really bad, but it also all has like lots of views. So clearly someone's listening to this stuff and enjoying it, but you never meet them, right? Like, that's always been my experience. So these are just mysterious characters that exist somewhere else, right? Uh, like, that's not to say I've never met anyone who has different music taste than me. I've met loads of people who have different music taste than me, who like music that I think is bad. That's different. That's a different thing. They're not talking about that. We're talking about the pop people, the people who like Taylor Swift, the people who like Ed Sheeran, these types of people. They've always been a mystery to me. I don't know where they're hanging out, and frankly, I don't want to know. So it's bizarre to me that this guy will say something like, "Yeah, this album is good," and it's just like a normal thing. Like that makes any sense? Like, what are you talking about? It's Taylor Swift. It's garbage. It's trash. It's ass. It's abysmally bad. Um. So I think what's fascinating about this video to me is not that fascinating. I don't know. It's mildly interesting. At best, it's mildly interesting. It's not really fascinating. Um. So this is a very, I'd say this is sort of somewhat of a approaching a platonic form of a platonic ideal, whatever um of the lefty YouTube video essay, right? Like, it's 2.5 hours long. It's all about fucking Taylor Swift, and it's got like a bunch of references to like vaguely lefty academia, sociology people, and you know, he's talking about a lot of lefty bullshit, le racism, le sexism, le patriarchy, le capitalism, le neoliberalism, le fascism. You know, he brings up all of these ones. Not much imperialism, not very relevant to Taylor Swift, the whole Taylor Swift thing. But you know, pretty much all the other isms get mentioned regularly. Um, and you know, it's very much one of these ones. It's one of these really obnoxious videos that's like, I'm gonna talk about pop culture and I'm gonna gonna relate it to left-wing theory, sort of in a very sort of ham-fisted, clunky way. They love doing this. I don't know why. You could just make videos about left-wing theory. Like, you don't have to somehow associate it with Taylor Swift. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense why people do this. It makes me think they don't actually want to make a video about. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to watch a video about a piece of media I liked or didn't like, right? Like, if I wanted to watch a video shitting on Taylor Swift, if I wanted to watch a video praising, I don't know, thing I like, album I like, Talking Heads, Remain in Light, then I would want them to talk about the album, right? And if I wanted to watch a video about political theory, I wouldn't want them to bring up Taylor Swift or Talking Heads, or you know what I mean? I would want them to talk about, unless it was like for some specific metaphor, like Jonas Chaka has a video about Deleuze where he brings up one of my favorite bands, Suicide, um, to explain some of Deleuze's ideas. In that case, it's an example and a metaphor, and it's relevant. Sorry, I feel like I've really completely gone off topic here. This is not what I meant to talk about at all. This is just terrible, man. My brain is just not there today. It's the TikToks. They're in here somewhere, drilling holes, taking out little pieces, like the worms in RFK Jr.'s brain. It's not good. Well, what I wanted to say was, um, there was a segment in this video about the Poptimism versus Rockist feud, which was also something that was mentioned in Todd in the Shadows' video about Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, I believe, and also somewhat relevant to a video about the Beatles and Yoko Ono, as you can imagine, although not directly brought up. The Beatles also do make an appearance in this Taylor Swift video. Sorry, I know this is a complete fucking mess and like impossible to follow, but we're in the dark right now, okay? You're as in the dark as I am, and I'm as in the dark as you are. And there's vaguely a hint of like, I was gonna call this red. It's more like salmon, you know? It's a good color. Not enough people talking about salmon as a color. Uh, and I myself, this is what the segment was supposed to be about. Definitely not a fan of poptimism. And I think there is an excellent segment in this video which goes through the history of the rockist versus poptimist dichotomy. Dialectic, even. It's not really a dialectic. Um, it's a bit of a dialectic. It's two things. That's a dialectic, is when you have two things, right? Uh, and how the original rockist movement was kind of the poptimist movement of its day, right? And it's complicated. Watch the video if you want to know exactly how that makes sense. But I thought it was great. I thought it was a great bit of historical analysis, and it made a lot of sense to me. And obviously, this guy is somewhat critical of poptimism for its sort of consumerist capitalist roots and upholding that sort of hegemony. Talks about it plenty, whatever, all good. Me, myself, personally, not a fan of poptimism. Never been a fan of it. There's this idea, which I find very strange. There's an idea that, like, people will. How do I phrase this? So, poptimism is an idea in music criticism that, like, pop music is equally valid as artistic expression as, like, any other serious music, right? That, like, someone like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or whoever the hell, her albums are equally as deserving of thoughtful analysis and critique, and they have as much merit as anything else in any other genre, right? As your artistic bullshit, wankery, Godspeed You Black Emperor, whatever the fuck, right? Like, mucore whatever, right? Um, and one of their arguments to this is that, and I think there were some valid arguments, right, against the anti-poptimist. There are some valid anti-poptimist arguments. So some people say that like anti-poptimism is based in uh, some prejudices, like pop music is seen as gay or girly, and that those aren't really valid criticisms. And I think that's perfectly true. I think it's true that some people stay away from pop music because they think it's gay or girly, and they will criticize it on those grounds. And I don't think those are good criticisms of pop music. No, I think that's very valid criticism. Um, but another thing is, people will say pop music is very commercialized. It's so commercialized, right? And versus good music is made for music's own sake. It's you know, it's not just made to make money. It represents some sort of artistic vision or something like that, right? And then some of these poptimist types will say, well, that doesn't really make any sense because we live under capitalism. All music is a commodity. All music is commodified. All music is consumerist, etc. You know, whether it's done by a pop star or an independent band, at the end of the day, the form and function of music is basically the same in capitalism, to sell it and to make money for the band. And this is just kind of absurd to me because I don't remember the name of this logical fallacy. Sorry, I don't use Reddit, so I don't remember the name of every logical fallacy. Um, but there's a particular logical fallacy where just because you point out that things have degrees to them, it doesn't mean that that thing doesn't exist, right? Like, yeah, to obviously to some extent, punk rockers are selling their music as a commodity in the same fashion as Taylor Swift is, but the level to which the music is designed from the ground up to be a commodity is very self-evidently distinct. Now, punk was maybe a bad choice because of the whole Sex Pistols business. But you know, there's a segment in the Lindsay Ellis video about the Beatles where she talks about Nirvana and Kurt. There's some relevancy there. Um, and one thing she brings up, and I thought this was strange because it almost seems to come out of nowhere, is she starts talking about how there's this idea that Kurt Cobain and Nirvana were just sort of doing whatever they wanted to and just expressing themselves purely, and that the fact that it came out as this sort of mass appeal artistic masterpiece or whatever was sort of luck, and that this is bullshit, and that actually all of Nirvana's image was not natural, it was like very carefully crafted. And I think to some extent that's going to be true. Obviously, whenever you have a public image, you have no choice but to craft it. Even choosing not to craft it is a choice in crafting it. You know what I mean, right? So like that's so true that it's not even worth mentioning. That's like self-evident. So that felt strange. But then on the other hand, if you're saying like this was actually like a very cynical ploy from Kurt Cobain, which seems to be what she's implying, um, or that he was very self. I don't really know what she's implying. It's sort of a weird part of the video that sort of comes out of nowhere and doesn't really lead anywhere. It was the only part of the video that left me sort of felt jarring to me. Um, like the example she brings up is the music video for "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I don't remember the story for that, but I don't remember the story. But there was some weird shit went on with that music video, right? Like it wasn't planned to be the way it was. If I remember correctly, I don't remember, but it was something like that because like the music video is all these kids and then they end up moshing at the end, right? But if I remember correctly, they weren't originally supposed to do that. They just did it, right? Because they had to listen to this song over and over in this like cramped room or something like that. Like the music video actually like there's like a famous story about how it wasn't planned. So I thought it was kind of strange to bring that up as an example of how like their image was carefully crafted and planned or whatever. Um, I don't know. It seemed a little odd to me. But yeah, no, I mean, Kurt did know that he was crafting an image to some degree. Um, I think everyone does. Like that seems kind of pointless to point out. You know, it seems like kind of self-evident. But I think that you know, there's kind of a distinction between putting something like, uh, you know, something like a Taylor Swift album and a Endless Nameless or whatever. Like I'm not the I like Nirvana. I wouldn't call myself the world's biggest Nirvana fan or anything, but I like Nirvana. Um, you know, I think there is a distinction there that just seems kind of it's weird to I don't know. I'm not saying that you should focus entirely on that. Damn, I've been rambling for 22 minutes. How can anyone watch these videos, man? It's so bad. It's actually so fucking. It's so bad. I haven't even gotten to my main point. Do you know what? That's the fucked up thing. I keep getting digressed. I keep going with these. It's disgusting, really. I'm actually fucking disgusted with myself. How can anyone watch this garbage? Oh my god. It's so bad. We'll just pretend it's intentional. We'll pretend that this is to scare away the normies or whatever we do over here. In Denpatube. See, I've also carefully crafted my image. Um, yeah. So something about that. But the thing about this whole thing, right? I'll just try and skip to my main point because I've been rambling for long enough. With Taylor Swift and this Andrew Avila video where he repeatedly calls her sort of a marketing genius and wherever, and also praises her music on multiple occasions. Like, let me make sure to restate that. Um, and that Nirvana segment in the Yoko Ono video by Lindsay Ellis. Um, what's they both take something for granted, which I found interesting that they took it for granted. And actually, that's not entirely true. I think I think Lindsay Ellis is a little more careful about it than what's this guy's name again? Alexander Avila. I think Lindsay Ellis is a little more careful about it. She's a little more critical of it, but I still don't think she goes all the way. Um, and it makes me a bit uncomfortable to confront some of this stuff, right? Like, Lindsay Ellis, both of these people, it's interesting that I watch these videos sort of the same day because they do have similar themes. Um, and there is a sort of element of like this idea of the artist as this sort of singular genius who creates something personal just for themselves, and this is like a social construct and it's not inherently valuable or something like that. Like this comes up, and I also accept that that's true on a logical level. It is a little bit painful to accept. I do kind of feel like an internal resistance to the idea that there's nothing tangibly valuable to that sort of artistic expression. There's nothing, objectively better about that mode of artistic expression over some other mode of artistic expression, be it, you know, generally speaking, what we might call art for a purpose, right? Like religious ceremonial art or corporate art or something like that. This is like the idea. But what I find strange about that is both these videos kind of have that kind of theme, at least a little bit. Right? That like I just explained it. I don't need to repeat myself. Um, but what I find strange is that they also both go in what I would consider to be the wrong direction with it, which is that they then say, well, since we know that art is intrinsically valuable, right? Like art is an intrinsically valuable part of the human experience. This is not a question at any point. That must mean that since the idea of the sort of singular artistic expression, singular work of artistic expression, self-expression, is a sort of individualist construct that only arose in a certain historical context and isn't intrinsically, also exists within an economic context of capitalism, which always has an influence, whether conscious or unconscious, and blah, 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 blah. Therefore, we should basically take a sort of pseudo-poptimist lens and say, and I've also seen people like Defunctland do this, right? Like Defunctland has that one video about a musician who did something for the Disney Channel. And he's like, look at all the unsung heroes who sort of make this corporate music. And while I think that video is amazing, and I think that, whatever, the Lindsay Ellis video is good and whatever, like, I tend to come away with a different view. Their view is, since we don't have any objective logical reason to value art as personal expression versus art for some other purpose higher, we should value all art. We should at least look for value in all art, right? Since we know that art is valuable, we shouldn't dismiss art that doesn't fit our narrow preconceived notions of the sorts of purposes art is supposed to serve, because you can't really make any logical argument that art is supposed to serve that particular purpose sort of intrinsically. I say, well, that, you've sort of gone in this seems like an odd direction to take it. Or it's not an odd direction, but it's only one direction. There's also a boy band, funny enough, who appeared in the TV show Victorious at one point, or iCarly, one of them. Anyway, sorry. Why not consider that art is actually not intrinsically valuable? This is where I'm on my fuck artists bullshit. Like, okay, if you're gonna set up the situation where you're talking around the fact that artists are petty bourgeois under capitalism, and this idea of this genius self-expressive artist is a historically contingent social construct, and blah 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 blah. What you can then, this is the bit where you say, so fuck artists. Okay, but they'll never do that. They'll never do that because these people, they're pussies. They're too weak-willed to come out and say fuck artists and fuck art. Me, I'm on my fucking, who's that one guy? Who's that one guy? I don't remember. The guy, he was going around, Marxist Frankfurt School guy. He was like, fuck jazz, because all it does is it makes capitalism more aesthetically appealing. When you have all of this great art under capitalism, all it does is serve to make the capitalism more aesthetically appealing. I don't remember who said that, but that's the shit I'm on. I'm on my fuck artists shit. Okay, fuck art and fuck artists. On some big shit, on some real shit, Self-expression isn't real. I don't even know if the self is real. And I definitely don't think expression is real. That's not true. I don't know why I said that. It's just kind of a meme. But no, it seems like if your argument is that sort of there's no clear distinction between where corporate art begins and the sort of legitimate, non-legitimate, scare quotes, non-pop, poptimist art ends, like there's no clear distinction, so we should treat all art as good. That seems like the wrong approach to me. I'm thinking, well, therefore, all art is corporate poptimist bullshit, and only like anti-art is good art. Your Dadas, only your Dadas. That's what I'm saying. If it's not Dada, get the fuck out of here with it. I'm not interested. If it's not, what's the good art? I can tell you. I can tell you right now what's the good art. It's art that is basically trying to push against itself. For example, graffiti, but specifically tags and throws, not pieces and murals, right? Like the Banksy shit, that's all garbage. But when I'm walking around and I see 10 foot, or Tox, I don't know if Tox still sprays, but like 10 foot, like these people, they just write their name and like nothing else. And it's not particularly detailed or complex, but it's in a place, and you're like, damn, he went up here to do that. You know, that's crazy. Or you just see it all the time. That's some good shit, and it's ugly as well. It doesn't look particularly. I mean, if you got the eye for it, you can see the aesthetic appeal in it, but it's not. It doesn't express like typical values like virtuosity, and that sort of thing, aesthetic coherence or um, creativity. It's the same thing repeated over and over again, like a you know minimalist uh, composition. Like that's good art. Uh, it makes you look at your environment in a different way once you start noticing it, and that's I think what's good. When you look at art in a museum, it's all garbage because it's in a museum, you know. And I like going to art museums, but it's all garbage. Everything in them is garbage, but it's nice to go to them anyway. Because sometimes you gotta look at garbage. Sometimes you gotta look at. If you don't have an appreciation for garbage, then you're not gonna make it. So I like stuff that makes you look at the world and suddenly with new eyes. So like another thing would be like parkour and skateboarding, you know? Like I think those are good because once you're doing parkour or once you're doing skateboarding or once you're doing graffiti, suddenly when you're walking around the city, you're not seeing the same things other people are seeing. You suddenly concepts are transformed in your mind. A wall is no longer just a wall, but it's a running pre, it's a Kong, it's a kickflip stair set, it's a fucking place you could put a little tag on. It's suddenly the purpose is subverted. I think that shit's good, and also at the same time, it's like anti-art, right? It's like it's artistic, and no one would deny it. I think, but it's not. It doesn't serve any of the traditional purposes of art, and importantly, it's not commodified at all. None of it is ever sold or done for money. And these fucking people, they'll probably be like, you don't think that artists deserve to be compensated for their labor? Okay, fuck you, man. Actually, fuck you. You don't think we should continue to have a wage labor relation? What are you, some kind of capitalist? That's the actual unironic argument. The unironic argument from many leftists is you don't think we should continue to have a wage labor relation? That's so capitalist of you. It's an insane fucking take. I don't know how we let these people get away with it. Um, but no, that shit's good. I like that shit. I like the Dadaists. Those guys were good. Those guys knew what was going on. Um, you know, uh, anyone. Yeah, I like a lot of this stuff. I like a lot of this stuff, but it's all you know. It's not. I'm not sitting here. Do you see what I mean? When I see like, okay, all art is this sort of commodified stuff. I'm taking the approach of, well, then we need to look for new weapons, right? I'm not taking the approach of, well, then all of it's the same and therefore all of it's good. No, all of it's bad. Even the good stuff is bad. A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, you know, one of the greatest albums of all time. Evil. It's pure evil. It's live evil, even. It's live evil. The good shit, the good shit is art so good you barely you. I don't know what it is, but it's not even it's art that's questionably even art to begin with. Stuff that can't be, a kickflip. You can't sell a kickflip. That's what I like about it. You can't sell a kickflip. You can't sell a yo-yo trick. You can't sell a kendama trick. You can't sell a cardistry flourish. You can't sell a pen spinning move. You could sell a pen mod or a skateboard or a yo-yo object or a can of spray paint, you know. But that's different. I feel like, you know, that's not selling. That's selling the tools. That's not selling the art itself. I think any art that can be, and hey, if you're gonna make music, I don't think you can say shit. Wait, can I scroll down in this video? Will this tell me what usage rights this guy has granted his video? I don't know. Um, it doesn't say anything as far as I can see. About. Nope, this is the wrong. Oh fuck. I fucked it all up. I've lost my place in the video now. It's all gone. It's all fucking gone. It's all gone terribly wrong. Okay, well, whatever. Um, the point I'm trying to make is this video isn't even, I'm assuming, Creative Commons attribution share alike. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not even copyleft. So I think these people should shut the fuck up, learn about Creative Commons, and come back to me once they've fucking learned about that shit. And anyone who doesn't, I listen. In my world, when I'm advisor to the king, anyone who doesn't release their art, if you're trying to pretend to be some sort of lefty and you release something and it's not copyleft, if it's copyrighted, you get cancelled. You'll get a Twitter thread about you, and people will come to your house in ghillie suits, but you won't even know because they're in ghillie suits, you know? So you won't even know because they're in ghillie suits. So you wouldn't even have any idea if they were outside of your house because of the ghillie suits. They could just be a bush. You'll be walking outside your house, you'll be like, I didn't remember that bush being there last time, but it's just a bush, you know. What could it possibly be? Bow, 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 bow. And then you know, that's what happens to you. Um, if you don't release with the correct Creative Commons license. Okay, so we figured that much out, and that's good. We've got that sorted out. Um, yeah, I like the Risky Roads. You know, I like the Movement documentary. You guys don't know what the fuck that is because you're not from the UK. Um, but that was just man's outside. That was just man's being outside. Now, yes, that was literally sold as a CD as a commodity, but it was something. And when it was on pirate radio, it was even more something. No one was making any money off of that. They were making money off of shows, but it's not about money. It's not about not making money or whatever the fuck it is. It's about methodologies. It's about subverting. You know what I'm saying here? It's about looking for new weapons. It's about creative subversion and subterfuge and all sorts of other fancy words. Uh, so you know, I think the fact that art as a merit, I think that artistic value, in the sort of traditional sense, as a unquestioned moral aesthetic merit, is a through line within all of these videos, and none of them ever question it, and they all have terrible taste because Lindsay Ellis likes the Beatles unironically, and this guy likes Taylor Swift unironically, which is even worse. Like I'm not the biggest fan of the Beatles, but I would listen to the Beatles every fucking day of my life over Taylor Swift. I mean, it's not even a question. Yeah, I listen to. I every so often I'll be like, maybe the sheeple have woken up. That's what I'll do. Every so often I'll think to myself, you know, maybe the sheeple have woken up, and I'll go and I'll look up like current Billboard top 10 or whatever, and I'll try and listen to the top music, right? And it's always garbage. It's always so bad. I don't understand. They never learn. They've never learned the whole time. They've never figured out like how to stop making absolute fucking trash. It's insane. It's terrifying, really. You know. And before anyone calls me a sexist, I love women. I love music made by women. Um, Grouper, amazing. This was not supposed to be a thumbs down. This was supposed to be a number one. Grouper, amazing. Katie Day, amazing. Uboa, amazing. Um, Alice Glass, amazing. I could go on. I can name a bunch of women. In fact, I know many women. Toromi, good shit. You know, I know lots of women. Guys, trust me. When it comes to women, I know at least some of them. I'm aware that they exist, and some of them make good music, and that's fucking sick. But it's also evil because art is bad. And I hope that we've all understood that at this point. And I'm saying you don't have to agree with me on this whole political nonsense, right? You don't have to agree with me on that. I'm saying from their perspective, from the premises they've already established for themselves, right? Do you see what I mean? If you're watching these garbage track, like this is what I like about the Quentin reviews ones. They know they're making, he knows he's making garbage slop trash about garbage slop trash. This guy, he's fucking saying hegemony. Motherfuckers out here being like, yeah, I've read Gramsci, and I'm gonna use that to talk about Taylor Swift. What the fuck are you doing with yourself? Also, there's no shot this guy's read Gramsci. I haven't read Gramsci. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe he has, and if he has, good for him. Good for him. But motherfuckers talking about the culture industry and capitalist hegemony. Come on now. Actually, that's probably a good thing to. Whatever. Come on now.